Okay, we're live.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Yes. It's all good. All good. Wonderful, wonderful.
I'm gonna search Twitter on the others.
But yeah,
Okay.
so like to start off this patch that happened 3 days ago, I believe. No, it happened.
6-1.
It happened. Yeah, it happened.
So that was like a week.
Yeah, it happened last week. It was last Tuesday.
Six
Or
one was 2 weeks ago, Friday.
that was a hotfix like a day after.
Hmm.
And Pike also got hotfixed 531, and that was the day after the patch, and that was 2 days after. So yeah,
Oh, gross.
it was like 5:30. So this was like 2 weeks ago. Oh,
Okay.
it was like 2 weeks ago, and basically their goal in this patch was to change crit items for AD carries and introduce Pike to the game. And Pike is very interesting,
Mm-hmm.
although I'm not quite sure how I feel about him quite yet. But I certainly have some opinions for him. Oh, and they also did stuff with Banner, but we'll talk about that later, because that's about like the other most important thing, besides the crit changes in Pike.
Uh-huh. Alright, so I guess we just go through this.
Yeah,
Scroll down, go
yeah.
through the update.
I'm just gonna scroll through. Uh, we can talk about Pike first, obviously, because he's the first thing and he's the most important thing that's happened. Uh, basically, Pike is a new champion that is a supportive assassin type champion, and that's an entirely new class aspect to the game that we haven't seen before. Like, the closest thing that we have to that would be like Annie a handful of seasons ago, I guess.
Annie was that really?
Yeah, she was a support, like like season 5, I believe, for most of
I
it.
didn't I didn't play much of season 5.
Yeah, for like most of that season, she was a support primarily, and then they changed her stuff, and now she's no. But anyway, he has his Q. I think is his most interesting skill, and that is because it is
It
a
doesn't it doesn't seem to pull him or pull people very much.
but like his Q is a basic line skill shot. It has pretty decent range. Uh, the damage on it is all right, but it's not meant to do damage. It's meant to set up the rest of his kit. But anyway, if you quick tap the button, it will just do good damage in a short line in front of you. But if you charge it for over a second, he will hook the first target that he hits with his Q, uh, like half the distance from, or it's half the distance from where Pike is to where the enemy unit is, and that's very interesting because it's the first ability of its kind that has a different uh, function based on channel time. We have other channeled skills like Varus Q, for example, which does more damage based on how long you charge it, or Vi's Q, which has more range on it if you charge it, stuff like that. But this is the first skill in the game that has two different functions based on charge time, to my knowledge.
Hi, Nick.
Do you think of anything else, Jake, that has two different functions based on charge time?
No, the only thing I can think of is like abilities that have two different functions depending on other variables, like Nidalee with her ultimate.
Yeah, yeah,
Her
yeah, yeah.
spear and Q are different, or
Yeah,
like Jace, his Q has an interaction with his E.
yeah,
But other than that,
yeah, but those are like two separate, like, named abilities in the case of Nidalee and stuff. But anyway, so that's why I think Pike is really cool, because that's something that I haven't been like very vocal about, but I've always kind of wanted to see them mess with because I think that's a really interesting thing that you can do a lot of things with.
Um, I've played Pike more than you, I think. Um,
Accurate. I played him like 4 or 5 times, and that was mostly like the
I
first
feel
like
like I
day he came
don't
out.
use his first half of Q very much, if at
That's
all.
that's more meant for lane and or jungle because it's good
Um,
for like CSing and like uh wave clear and stuff.
what I think is most interesting about him as a champion is the fact that his health is capped, that you can't change it.
Yes, that is also true. He is the and that's like his like main downside, I think, is that his health is capped, which is fine because I think if you could build health on that champion, I think it'd be way too good, like straight up,
Mm-hmm.
because he's already playable as is. But anyway, so his passive makes it so instead of gaining bonus health from any source, because he can't even gain it from like runes or like items or anything, it is converted by a percentage into total AD. So he just gets like
I wouldn't mind if they made it so at least runes affected his health.
so there's a lot
Like
of
if he took like Chrysalis or something.
yeah. But anyway, there's a lot of items that are really good on him. Like Black Cleaver gives him 70 AD instead of the 50 that it normally gives, and Frozen Mallet gives him like 90 AD. But Frozen Mallet's not very good on him because he doesn't auto attack things. So you're essentially just spending like 3,000 gold on 90 AD, which is not good. But anyway, so he has a lot of interesting interactions with health items and similar stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Um, but basically, since you don't build HP, um, he can't tank anything because he doesn't get as much.
Well, I mean, it's not meant to. He's an assassin.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, so you're more commonly building stuff like lethality and like a dusk blade and stuff like that, which is
Mm-hmm.
interesting for support. And like I was saying before, is nothing that we've really seen before.
Because like he's still very much a support, more so than just like a kill lane bottom.
Yes,
But he's also not a support in more of a kill lane bottom, if that makes sense.
yeah. And to continue on with his kit, his W is a pretty basic skill. He goes into stealth.
Increases movement speed.
Yes, and he increased movement speed, which the movement speed bonus scales with AD. And the other part of his passive is basically Tom Kench E, which makes it so a portion of the damage he has taken in the past handful of seconds can be refunded back to him if he is out of enemy sight, which obviously is meant to synergize with his W. Because I think the point of his,
Yeah.
because I think the optimal play of his kit would involve him going into a team fight, blowing his combo, and then stealthing out to like regen up and wait for cooldowns. Similar to a Kha'Zix type with his ultimate almost.
Yeah.
Where you
But
like
the thing though with that is on paper that seems really good,
mhm.
but I feel like when it comes to an actual team fight, you use all of your abilities, but because when you use your stealth, people can still see you if you're right next to them. It's kind of hard without blowing like a flash to get out with your stealth.
Yeah.
So
But I think that would be the thing is that I think a lot of the time he would be played best with like 2, 3 forms of hard engage, be it like a Zir, so he can like shuffle people in, or like a Lee Sin, or a Maokai, or a Nautilus, or or like a Sejuani or something. So he doesn't have to like engage with his like combo, which
yeah,
we'll get to later. And to
I
continue,
think he heavily thrives off of like picks.
he
Honestly,
he thrives heavily off of like extremely heavy trading due to his passive in my opinion, at least in lane.
Well,
Anyway,
in lane, but like in mid to late game, I think he thrives really heavily off of you or him and two other champions or potentially the entire team going through the enemy jungle and like catching somebody off guard when they're rotating to another lane or going to ward.
and and the other part of his kit that I find really cool is his E, which is a
It's a dash with a kind of wide hitbox that stuns after a second or so.
yeah, I believe it's 1.5 seconds.
And I've had moments where it's just like, oh, I thought that was stun, or moments where I'm like, oh, I thought I could walk out of that. But I think it's actually really cool and really interesting
Yes,
because it's not like an immediate stun like most other abilities are.
Mhm. But so, anyway, I don't want to talk about his ulti quite yet. I kind of want to talk about his playstyle a bit more before we get to the ulti, because the ulti's gonna be another whole like conversation. So like
Yeah.
his main combo is to hook somebody in and then dash forward like with his E and then get a stun off on them.
hmm Or use W to speed up quickly next to them
Yes.
and then E into them.
Yes, because you can dash while you're stealthed, so they don't see the dash. They just see you when you pop out of stealth. And in terms of his playstyle, he plays very similar to like an Alistair, in the extent that you play around the combo basically over like
Yeah.
cooldowns and stuff, and he's like very aggressive in that matter. Uh, Now, Jake, do you want to talk about his ulti? Since you have more experience with it than I do.
Okay, yeah. Um, his ulti is a execute essentially. You can use it to deal damage, but if a champion is low enough for it to kill, that champion's name will turn red, and they'll die to your ultimate essentially. And after you use the ultimate, you have a period of time in which you can use it again.
Which I believe,
And that,
which I believe is 20 seconds for no mana cost.
yeah, but the time that the time you have to use it is shown on the ultimate ability itself. It's like a little square around the ability, and it kind of like
Runs out.
counts down.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which I think might also be a Pike only thing, because I don't know if it works on.
Yeah.
Like, I think Darius is the only other champion with like a reset like timer like that.
yeah, I agree. I think so too.
Because before Darius gets his rank 3 ultimate, he just gets to cast it for a time instead of it just like a full reset on his ulti.
The thing about his ulti, right,
Mm-hmm.
is I think it's fairly good in lane once he hits 6,
Oh,
because it essentially means that you win most fights.
uh-huh.
But after that, unless he snowballs in lane heavily, it's not very good. I find myself dying too often in fights before I can pop it. So I either wait to try and get the kill and then die before I can use it, or I pop it immediately and don't save it for the execute.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's just an issue with him being an assassin and needing to wait until people are low
Yeah.
and not dealing as much damage as an assassin like Zed does.
Okay, and the other part of his ultimate, which is a big thing, and this is like kind of what makes him a supportive assassin, if that makes sense, is his ulti will give full gold to every champion that got in it, that got the assist on the enemy that he executes. So like, say you guys get like a 5-man pick like on their mid laner at like 30 minutes, and you get the kill with Pike's ulti. You'll get like 300 gold for each champion because because of Pike's ulti. So, and if that happens in like a team fight where you get like even like 2 kills with Pike's ulti, and you're getting 5 or and you're getting 4 assists, that'd be 3,000 gold total for your team.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
as we've talked about, he
Doesn't survive long enough to get the execute. I don't
yeah.
think.
Well, that also might just be like a play style thing because we don't
Yeah.
play like assassins, as we were saying, and it's a very
True.
unique
I
place.
also haven't played him anywhere other than support, so.
Yeah.
I think honestly the best ability that he has is E.
I like his Q, but that's just because of the reasons that I was stating before, in that it's like a
Yeah.
unique thing, and I think that's really cool. And I hope they.
I think his E is just really strong, because when you can hit more than one person with that stun,
Mhm.
man, it does so much damage.
And I don't have anything much else to say about Pike, except for he's obviously a new champion, and he seems to fit a niche in the game, but I don't think he's going to be like super amazing.
Outside of that niche, anyways.
Yeah, and his niche is kind of like, as I was talking about when we first started to talk about him, I think he thrives best in like as like a second to third engage type champion, because clearly his Q is a very good like engage tool. Because
Not really.
like hooking someone like into your team is good, and especially because it, I believe, true combos into his stun. I believe if the Pike like properly does his combo, I believe it's a true combo similar to Alistair combo.
Yeah. Alright, so I think that's it for Pike.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see where he'll go,
Um.
more than anything. Do you want to go through the changes to the champions, or
I'll kind of like scroll through real quick and see if there's anything important.
I know that we should definitely go over Talia
Yeah. Um.
and
Let's see. Look at Anivia.
the marksman base stat adjustments.
Yes. Graves, fine. Kha'Zix. Um. That's fine.
Looks like they changed a lot on Lee Sin as well.
Mm,
I like the quality of life thing that they changed on the Q, on Lee Sin's Q.
that's like all they did. They changed that for all of his skills. That's like all they did was add the like time icon, which
Also, Nick, my room's not that dirty. This is just stuff that's on my desk, and it's mostly paper.
I think I did change the title, by the way. If you would care to check again, Nick, I just updated the information again.
What did they change on the con? Q base
Uh,
shield decreased, E base shield decreased.
yeah, they nerfed Rakan, which is fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cause,
Okay, I guess
because
Talia.
he's probably the best engaged support in the game right now.
Let's address the elephant in the room here. Talia jungle, man.
Okay, so Talia, basically, what happened with Talia that got changed is she got more move speed. She got 15
More health.
She got 15 more move speed. The health doesn't really matter in the context of jungling. And her passive got changed, so she gains more move speed from her rock, like wall, because her passive is she gains a percentage bonus move speed when she's near a wall.
Oh god.
And the combat lockout, which is the biggest thing, got nerfed from 5 seconds out of combat to 2 seconds out of combat, which basically means that like she's really quick to go between camp to camp, which
And then also fairly quick to gank.
yes, which in context of the scuttle changes, which we'll be talking about later. It's very important to like move around the map at a quicker pace. And the thing that allows her to uh, jungle is this change on her Q, which minions no longer take reduced damage from her Q.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
What?
Look at the change. Oh my god. They also changed her Q, so while it's on worked ground, it costs 1 mana.
Oh, okay. Instead of refunding it, it costs 1 mana.
Yeah. Which is
Huh.
which is fine, but I mean like yeah. So basically,
She became a very, very good jungler
yes,
from this patch.
yes. Her Q also doesn't do
AoE damage
yeah,
anymore.
which is a nerf to compensate for
lane.
the met yeah. But I mean, in concept of jungle, there's enough like single target camps that like you're fine, because that would be both your buffs, Scuttle Crabs, Gromp, and to a lesser extent Golem. Oh wait, no, not Golems because of the small ones, Wolves. So basically, like your
Yeah.
whole jungle can be efficiently cleared,
Mm-hmm.
and you can basically just kite them down, because she's pretty weak in her first clear, as most mages are. But I mean, after she gets like that like tier 2 jungle item, she has a lot of sustain, and she can just like kite the camps around with her low cooldown Q, and yeah. But basically, she power farms quite well. And
Since we're talking about jungle, do you want to just talk about jungle right now?
uh, I
Before
wanna
we move on to marksman?
finish scrolling through the champions here. Let's see if there's anything like important. They buffed Victor slightly. That's fine. And, no, not really. So yeah, we can talk about jungle now.
Alright. I guess we'll go down the list here. They decrease the attack speed of Baron.
This is well. First, I want to talk about the previous
Scuttle?
patch, which was 8.10, which
Oh.
was
I don't have that pulled up.
yeah, I don't either, but I don't really need to because I kind of knew what it was. But basically, what they did was they changed the early game of the jungle. They nerfed the EXP on the camps, so you don't get level 3 after 3 camps anymore. Which is impactful because that was, like, the core of, playing jungle in Season 8 so far. Has been to clear through camps and to gank a level 2 laner at level 3. And then just, like, apply pressure to the lane because you're up a level. But they've changed that, and to compensate for EXP, they have changed, or they have moved a percentage of the EXP that you would normally get from a proper jungle camp to the Scuttle Crab. And the Scuttle Crab is a thing that spawns on either side of the map in the river, either by Baron or by Dragon. And 2 of them spawn at level 1 at 2 minutes into the game. And when
Then only one spawns after that.
yes,
at a time.
and they don't do damage, so it's good for like healing and stuff because you're just like sitting there like attacking it and healing, and it grants a slight amount of healing and mana regeneration to you when you kill it. And when you kill it, it also grants vision for 90 seconds, which is a very long amount of time. That's better than any wards at that point into the game. And but basically, after the first 2 scuttles are killed, it is an RNG spawn similar to the type of dragon that spawns. and it's on either side of the map. And that is what I personally don't like about it. I wouldn't mind if it was fixed, if it was like, Baron side, Dragon side, Baron side, Dragon side, or something like that.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's RNG makes it very
But
like
I guess to counter that, they also give you a fair amount of like time to prepare for it. You
Well,
know it's going to be up like way before it's actually going to be up.
yeah. They give you a minute, I believe, warning on the icon on the map.
So you have a minute to readjust your pathing.
Yeah. But anyway, so they've changed. So they changed the jungle, the previous patch, to be focused more on not early game ganking and more early early game farming, which is fine because I mean, understandably so, level 3 ganking like a level 2 laner, or in certain cases, bottom lane would be level 1 if they were getting shoved in and stuff. So like there were cases that like the jungle would be like up 2 or 3 levels on you as a laner. I mean,
That's just no fun.
for like playing normally, and like not like being fettered like anything, just like playing normally, they would just be like massively ahead of you. And so anyway, this is now oriented the jungle changes to more of a level 2 burst, because now you can reasonably go buff, camp, scuttle, and that seems to be what people are doing. I don't have the like super deep experience into it quite yet because I don't play much jungle, but I mean that's what's going on so far. And you're still level 2 by the time that you kill the 2 camps. And if you're both there at the same scuttle crab, which once again is not entirely uncommon, most junglers pretty much start bottom side for the better leash in the like on their first camp. So if you're both at the same scuttle crab, it's very important to contest that in the early game because it gives a very large amount
It
of
matters
gold.
so much more.
And basically it's much more important. It's like in terms of
It's important enough to where laners need to be looking for it and help in assisting their jungler if they need it.
maybe not at level 1, but I mean like pretty much for every scuttle minus the first 2. There should be lane pressure involved at some point. It's like its own little like small objective basically. And
Which I'm fine with. I actually like the idea of having more objectives than
yeah, because it
towers, Baron, and Dragon.
it kind of increases the interactivity of the junglers in the early to mid game, which is something that they were lacking because it would just be like previously it would just be like hard power farm into gank into hard power farm into roam with your team. And but on the flip side of that, I personally have the experience of, it was either yesterday or the day before. Sometimes, obviously, you'll have like a losing lane as a jungler, and say, if example, that's your top laner that's losing to the enemy top laner. And even though you're ahead on the enemy jungler, you slowly start to fall behind because so many scuttles spawn on the top side, and then you just have to concede the scuttle because the enemy top laner is assisting the enemy jungler while you cannot get assistance because your top laner has to catch farm under tower to catch back up. And that happened to me like I was saying the other day, and that just like it feels bad. Really, it just like feels bad to like play it, like in a game where you like lose your lead to actual RNG. And from the
I guess
consent,
you could also argue that your mid lane comes up as well if it's like top side and your top laner is losing. But then if both your laners are losing, then I mean at that point.
yeah, but still, it's the concept. It's very hard to contest if you have a losing lane. But
So all you laners out there, get good.
but anyway, if it spawns like give or take like 50-50 on either side, then it feels fine. It's just if it spawns like over and over again to the one side that you happen to be losing, it just like feels bad.
You don't even
And
play the game, Nick. Shut up.
from the consensus of um the general higher elo population, not that I watch many jungle streamers, but I mean like the general consensus of uh stuff, it seems to be relatively hit or miss. Like people are either like, "Oh yeah, it's not like the best change ever, but I don't hate it," or it's, "Oh my god, jungle's dead, and I'm gonna switch to be a fucking top lane main now," or something like that. And I'm personally somewhere in the middle of, it feels alright, but I also don't really enjoy like losing my jungle because they get like two good spawns. Because like say it's gonna spawn top side, and I just cleared my top side jungle 30 seconds before the fucking thing is like there, and then I'm not gonna have any reason to be on the top side of the map other than for scuttle. And then say if the enemy jungler is there at the same time, and due to RNG they have better camp setup, I'll be down like 2 camps worth of EXP because I didn't have anything to farm topside because I was already farming that. And then because the scuttle is worth a significant amount of gold and EXP comparative to a normal camp, it's worth like 1.25 camps basically.
They did increase the experience that you gain by jungle monsters at later levels
Yeah,
this patch.
but anyway, so the jungle has focused to a more early game focus.
Also, Baron does so much less damage now.
Yeah, Baron is kind of like, well, weak, if you want the truth. They nerfed like everything about Baron.
Yep. Alright, do you want to talk about ADCs? The marksman changes?
Uh, yeah, if you want to
They
talk about
changed everyone's base.
since
They
I
changed everyone's base stats.
since I basically talked about jungle for like 15 minutes.
Alright. So essentially, Riot has felt that the dominant strategy has been uh, aggressive bot lanes. So that means all in and then regen. So champions like Ezreal, who are paired with non-aggressive support that would rather just poke and then go in if they're dumb and they're low and they decide to stay,
Mm-hmm.
don't really have a place in that with that play style. So they made base stat adjustments to all of the ADCs. From the looks of it, they lowered everybody's damage.
Mm-hmm.
They lowered, it looks like, or they increased everybody's attacks or attack damage growth. Sorry.
Yeah, they basically nerfed the early game of every AD carry, but buffed
Yeah.
their late game, so they're about the same. At like level like 18.
Yep.
They're about the same.
And then they introduced a new item and reworked Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver, right? Yeah,
Yes, yes,
they
yes.
they changed Essence Reaver as well. So the new item is Storm Razor. It costs 3,200 gold. Its build path is the old, or yeah, it's the old um, IE build path, which is BF Sword, Pickaxe, Dagger.
I mean, the
Oh,
dagger
wait,
is
was
new.
that Dagger wasn't, but
Yeah.
it uses the old IE
Hmm.
build path. So now this is the only AD item that builds out of Pickaxe, right?
That and Rage Blade, but that's
And
another
Rage
story
Blade.
that we'll get to later.
Deals 70 AD, 30% attack speed. Its unique passive is Storm's Edge. If you haven't attacked in the last 3 seconds, your next basic attack will critically strike for 160% damage and grant 10% movement speed for 1.75 seconds.
And to expand on that, the cooldown on it being the 3 seconds scales down with your fucking attack speed. So say you have like 1.2 attack speed, which with the dagger and like Greaves, you basically should have about 1.2 attack speed. It'll be more like 1.4 seconds.
Yep.
So it's up quite often, and the 160% damage crit scales up with your crit chance, up to 200% max. So basically, once you get 60% crit, you're dealing normal crits with it.
From what we've talked about, Storm Razor seems really good early to mid,
Uh-huh.
but falls off late game.
Yep, because once you get like 60% crit, anything after that, and it just falls down. Because you're already auto attacking 60% of the time for crits, and waiting even 2 seconds or 1 second when you have 1.5 to 2.0 speed.
Plus, how many champions really build this? I know Jin for sure does.
Uh, Jin, Zaya, Ash, most of the AD carries that don't like Vayne could. Uh, Sivir could, MF. Basically, every AD carry that's not like an on-hit champion. Jinx, it's really good on Jinx actually.
But Storm Razor, the new item, combined with the updated Infinity Edge, which I'll talk about right now. First and most important thing, they changed the icon. Rest in peace, IE icon.
Accurate statement. It just
Rest
looks
in
more
peace.
like flashy and I don't know.
That's the most important change that they made.
Yes.
They upped the cost by
300.
200 gold.
300.
Well, 300 gold. The build path has changed to 2 BF swords, and they upped the AD to
and
80.
the important cart and the big part on it is it builds out of 2 BF swords, which is 1,300 gold buys, plus 1,100 gold to combine it into the IE. So you're essentially having to recall 3 separate times with 1,000 gold, and that is extremely difficult to do. Like
Especially if you're losing.
like pre 15 minutes, it's really hard to recall with 1,500 gold. Like maybe once on your first buy if playing like a even lane or whatever. But I mean, it's really hard to build.
They removed the 20% critical strike chance, and then they removed the plus 50% bonus crit damage.
Mm-hmm.
They created a new passive on it, 1 crit, 2 crit. It doubles your critical strike chance, and then the unique passive, 15% of critical strike damage is converted to true damage.
Which seems really good because basically, 15% of your damage being converted. Oh, sorry. It's also only to champions. It doesn't say that on the patch notes for whatever reason, but it is only the
For true damage?
yeah, it is only on champions. Because otherwise it'd be retardedly OP for Baron and Dragon. It would one shot it basically.
So these 2 items, the updated Infinity Edge and the Storm Razor, change a lot for your first buy as ADZs now,
Mm-hmm.
because of the issues Stormrazor has later, and especially if you're playing a champion that's more on hit rather than a champion like Jhin or Jinx, uh, Stormrazor doesn't feel that good to build. And because if you still wanted to go the build path of IE, Shiv, Rapid Fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
It costs so much more gold, and if you don't back with a BF sword, what are you gonna build?
Basically.
Beforehand, you could get the pickaxe and get away with it,
Mm-hmm.
and still build IE, but now you can't.
Yes.
So overall, if you're losing as an ADC, and you're an ADC that doesn't build Stormrazor, there's just nothing you can do.
And to combat the Stormrazor is good, like, because it's just, like, good, like, as an item, but the issue, and, like, why it's bad in the late game, is if you have, for example, 60% crit chance and, you know, 2.0 attack speed, which means you're auto-attacking twice a second, you're just, like, not getting the passive out of the item, because you're critting for 200% with the passive on it, and that's if you're not attacking for, like, 0.8 seconds, which you can auto-attack twice and crit once because you have 60% crit chance, and due to how crit works in this game, you should basically crit every other auto-attack. But anyway, so you're just not really getting anything out of Storm's Edge after, like, 3 items. And that's why...
And the base stats themselves are not worth the 3,200 gold.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's not...
So those two items make the early game for a lot of champions difficult as ADC.
And the alternative, because the old build path for a lot of champions, mostly just on a Vayne and to a lesser extent Jinx, would be to go BF Sword into a Zeal item, mostly Static Shiv. But due to the changes to Static Shiv, well, rather to Brawler's Glove and Zeal, because Brawler's Glove, which is the 10% crit item, now costs 600 gold, up from 400.
Yep.
Which is, awful. Feels awful to build. Like, straight up, it just feels bad. And Zeal costs 100 more gold, and gives 5%
5% less critical strike.
Yeah, less crit, which is just, bad. I mean, it's like a straight nerf, like, and all of the Zeal items now cost 300 more gold, and it just, like, so basically they nerfed crit in every single way, shape, and form, and I think the only, like, I just don't see a world in which you can reliably build, because it's like, not that, like, crit is bad, because crit is obviously still very good, I mean, due to the IE passive of it dealing the fucking true damage, like, that's just, like, good, that's just, like, straight, like, really fucking good. But, Echo, what are you doing? Why are you so loud? I don't even know where you're at. Oh, you're in my closet. As I was saying, but, yeah, it's, like, not like crit is bad, it's just literally every other build path is better. Because building crit is significantly more, like, expensive by, like, hundreds of gold, and over, like, 3 items, like, you're just down, like, 1,000 gold, Like, say you were to go Stormrazor into double Zeal item. That would be 3,200 gold plus 29 2 times. Oh, fuck. which is 9,000 gold. And for that same 9,000 gold, you could build like a similar 3-item core would be Rage Blade, Gnasher's Tooth, and Wit's End. And that would be for like your on-hit AD carries, but you are primarily Kaisa and Varus. And that is about 8,400 gold for those 3 items. So you're essentially just down 600 gold.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like that's like a lot, but I mean like over the course of like a game, that's 600 gold earlier that they're getting their 3rd item than you are. And that's if you're like entirely even. Like it just feels bad to go like even like a false step or even like a small step behind when you're building crit because of how much more cost efficient every other build path currently is for AD carries.
It's like essentially back when they changed Ezreal and you had to go blue build.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, it works, but like it's less efficient than other ADC's build paths, so therefore it feels bad to play.
Mhm.
The next big item that they changed is Essence Reaver,
Mhm.
and this makes Lucian busted. Oh my god! So they decreased the cost of Essence Reaver by 200 gold, and they changed the build path to BF Sword, Caulfield's Warhammer, and Sapphire Crystal. They removed the crit strike chance by 20. They removed the critical strike chance 20%. They removed its unique passive, which critical strikes restore 3% of your max mana. They added 2 unique passives. The first one is where basic attacks restore 1% of your missing mana, and after you cast your ultimate, your next basic attack within 10 seconds grants Essence Flare for 8 seconds, granting 30% attack speed and causing basic attacks to refund 20% of your remaining non-ultimate cooldown. The reason why this makes Lucian so busted is that he can infinitely E.
Yeah. And how Lucian's E works and his passive works is when you E, you get to auto attack twice, and his E gets reduced by 1 second for each auto attack that he does. And if you couple that with the bonus cooldown reduction that he's getting from the Essence Reaver in and of itself, and to the passive on after he ultimates, it's on like an every other second cooldown for 8 seconds. I believe that's what it says, right? It lasts for 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so for 8 seconds, he basically has no cooldown on his E, and due to how strong his E is, because it's a short range dash, he can reposition himself, and he just dishes out a lot of damage with it because he's fucking autoing twice,
Do you think Essence Reaver would be a really good second choice if the build path had a pickaxe in it?
No, because
Like instead of like the Warhammer or something?
the Warhammer is what makes it a good item, because that builds out of 2 long swords and 400 gold and gives 10% cooldown. And that's what you would do if you had 700 gold on a recall, is you would buy double, you'd buy double longsword over the IE, or over the BF sword rather, not IE. But
I don't know. I just want to see something build out of pickaxe that's not Rage Blade and Storm Razor, just so ADCs can have a little bit of an easier time if they're not like super far ahead and they don't build Storm Razor.
I mean, you could go Essence Reaver. I don't think there's a champion that it's bad on due to the passive on it. I just think it's more
useful on Lucian than anybody else.
Yeah. And Essence Reaver is so strong to the extent that a lot of champions are using it, even though it's clearly meant as an ADC item. It's meant as like a caster ADC type item, which I need to try it out on Ezreal, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, there's champions like Renekton that are building it because of his W applying on-hit effects 3 times regularly and 4 times if it's enraged, I believe. And and applying the 20% cooldown refund 4 times on top of a 2 second long stun, that's 80% of your cooldowns. And it also due to how the cooldown works on his W, it also refreshes the 80% to his stun, and like his stun has like a 1 second downtime for 8 seconds, and it's just so good. Like, it is so good on him that he is wasting money on mana, but he doesn't even have mana to build it because it's that powerful on him. And I'm sure there's a lot of other like niche cases with it, like Yi could use it really well because that would give him a lot of E.
Speaking of, they changed Yi a little bit, I think.
They gave him some AD and attack speed to compensate for nerfs in the previous patch.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot of champions that like. But
They also made some lifesteal items for marksmen cheaper, just because they upped the cost of their other items.
Yeah.
So Bork is 200 gold cheaper, and Bloodthirster is 300 or 200 gold cheaper.
Yeah. Okay, so.
And they also made some changes to Last Whisper and Lord Dominic's Regard and Mortal Reminder, but I haven't really seen those come into a huge effect.
Yeah, but but anyway, and the thing about the IE changes is that with the item and like one zeal item completed, you have 60% crit, which is fine. But if you build 2 zeal items, you have 120, which obviously, you're wasting 20% worth of stats. But that also means that with that 100% crit chance, all of your auto attacks on champions will be doing 15% true damage. But it's not bonus true damage, it's converted into true damage, which there's some math out there that I don't know off the top of my head, but I want to say it's like 200 armor, that it does less damage to targets with 200 armor. Or like 175 or something like that. But anyway, for a significant amount of champions, you're lowering your damage output on non-tanks, basically, is what that means with the 100% crit
This is
chance.
completely unrelated, boys.
Yes.
But I don't know if you saw this, because I just saw this, that they have last hit assistance added in this patch.
Mm-hmm.
Where if a basic attack doesn't kill a minion by 4 health or less, it kills the minion.
Mm-hmm.
And every patch after this one, they're going to reduce the number by 1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I think that's just kind of interesting. What do you think?
I think it's a insignificant thing. Because people that are like good at last hitting are gonna last hit, and it's not gonna matter.
But people like me...
Well, no, I mean, like, if you really think about it, there's probably 10 or less CS, like, in a game that you kill with, or that, like, lives with, like, 4 or less HP. So, I don't think it's that significant. But, anyway, talking more about the item changes, it's to an extent that some people in higher elos and everything are going non-marksman in the bottom lane significant due to
Yeah,
better...
you said you wanted to try Wukong and
Yasuo, yes.
Yasuo.
But basically, there are champions that are going around like Yasuo and I've seen a couple weird things with like brand Pike and stuff. But anyway, there's champions that are like Yasuo and like Master Yi and oh, who the hell else was the other one? That was like the big one.
How do you feel about the fact that they're going to be removing Banner?
Well, they said that they're going to bring it back once they figure out how to balance it.
Because before it was useless and now it's OP.
Yeah, that's because they don't know how to scale anything. Everything has to be a flat amount on an item, which I think is dumb. Because I think the easiest way to balance the item, but anyway, we'll talk about that later once we get to Banner, which will be shortly. But anyway, it's gotten to the extent that people are built. Mordekaiser was the other champion, because P has the EXP passive on his W. But anyway, there's been a resurgence in non-marksman in the AD carry position, which I think is interesting, but also weird. And it's solely just due to because they have better build paths. Like, straight up, they just have the better build paths than conventional marksman. And yeah, that's all I have to say on that. Do you have anything else to say about AD carries, Jake?
No, other than the fact that it feels awful to back with like 1,000 gold and then not being able to build your BF sword and then being cucked as a result.
But yeah, so basically, the strongest AD carries right now are the ones that
don't need to build IE first.
well, that I don't have to build crit.
Which isn't that good news for Ezreal for you?
Yeah, because that makes like champions like Ezreal or
Lucian.
or Kai'Sa or Varus stronger because
Varus isn't an ADC.
neither is Kai'Sa by that same manner. She builds full AP as well, but I mean it's still a marksman in the bottom lane AD carry position. But anyway, the AD carries with non-crit based build paths are much more significant, or are much more stronger than traditional AD carries. And while I don't agree with the changes to IE, I think the double crit chance is dumb. I think they could have I'm gonna actually pull up a thing if I can find it real quick. Oh, God, I didn't put it in. Never mind. But anyway, there's this thing that, like, they could have reworked crit chance to something like it increases the damage dealt. Like, say you have, like, 50% crit chance. It would deal, or, like, all of your autos would deal, like, half increased damage, if that makes sense. Like, the 50% more damage.
Since we're talking about the IE, you had something on the Google Doc that was talking about it.
Yeah,
right here.
It's just like a thing of all the...
Comparing the old IE to the new.
Yeah, basically.
So it's not to say that the new IE is bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah,
it's just not good for your first item anymore.
Yep. And that's also, like, the other thing, is that it's comparable to Death Cap for ADs now, basically. Because of the build path and the combined cost.
Great item, but build it, like, 4th.
Well, technically you can build it 3rd on most AP champions now. But...
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you go tier, into, like, AP item into Death Cap. But anyway, yeah, it just, like, I don't know where it fits into the build. But also, at the same time, it is no longer a required item on every crit-based AD carry. Because if they don't have a
True.
tank, then the damage increase that you'll be getting from the 15%,
Negligible.
yeah, is like not worth it for the 4,000 gold that you're spending on it. So I think it's really interesting. But yeah, basically Crit is significantly weaker, and I don't know quite where it's going to shift in terms of the 80 carry meta. Okay, so now the other uh, problem, quote unquote, is, or the other problem item, and the most significant thing about this patch, other than what we've already talked about in Pike and all the jungle changes and the 80 carry changes, is the Banner of Command. And that is an item that I've liked from the time that I've been playing this game, and I've been like smart enough to like understand that it was an item. Um, and it's an item that you promote a allied minion to deal significantly more damage and take significantly less damage. And due to how that works is you can put it in a side lane and then like team fight middle, and you'll push the lane because one of your minions is significantly stronger. So it just, although due to the numbers on it and like how much more damage it was doing and how much less damage it was taking, it wasn't very good for a very, very, very long amount of time. And then they buffed it a lot, and then it was too good, so they had to hotfix nerf it, and now basically it's becoming a problem item that they're just going to remove in next patch. And when it was like OP, like when this patch like first hit, which it took them 2 days because it hit on 5:30 and they didn't nerf it until 6/1, so it took them two days to fix it, or to like nerf it. It wasn't entirely uncommon to see, 3 of them like on a team because they were that good. But anyway, now that they nerfed it, it's like not very good. And I mean, it's like good, but it's not like OP. It's like proportionately decent now. But anyway, how I personally would have changed it is I would have made it so it scales with, which this is a post that I seen on the Reddit either earlier today while I was at work or last night. But anyway, there was a post that suggested that they have it, or that they have the bonuses scale with your health and resistances, which I think would be a really good
That'd
way
be,
of
yeah.
of balancing it. Obviously, like I'm not smart enough to like give you like exact like ratios of like conversion, but I mean like say it gives like the minion like half of your bonus resistances and like 30% of your bonus health. So like say you have 6 items, which would be your full build on a tank character, you would banner up a minion and it would have like 2500 HP and like 250 of each resist, and to deal like 100 damage in auto attack with like decent attack speed. And I think that wouldn't be like a problem. I think that would be alright because it makes it a tank only item, and it makes it not OP in the early game. Because that's where like a lot of the issues were standing, because it was so hard to clear in the early game that it was being first rushed on like a lot of the tank champions. Because it was just so hard to kill in the early game before you had like all of the attack speed and stuff to kill it quick.
Yeah.
And that's where it was becoming a problem, because it was very easily snowballing the game into a small lead. Like say you're up like 500 gold, and you get your banner first, and then you just like push a tower down in like 3 waves because your banner minion is OP as fuck.
Okay, so I'm looking at what they changed on it for this patch.
Uh huh.
The fact that it had 100% immunity to magic damage just makes me wonder what the fuck was Riot thinking.
That's what it used to be for like 3 seasons.
Like,
And that's
100% immunity to magic damage.
and that's
Like,
and that's
what?
and that's why it was a bad item. Like due to the concept of an AD carry in the game, 100% of the time, it was like it was just garbage. It was garbage because it was taking physical damage normally, but it was immune to magic damage. So you just have your AD carry hit it like 4 times and it would dead, and then you just wasted like a 2-minute cooldown for no reason. And yeah, I don't know. It just like wasn't good, and then they changed it to give 70% damage reduction, which is way too much. That's so much damage that it's
I
not
feel like
taking.
50% would be fine.
And then they nerfed it to 40. But anyway, now it's become a problem, and they said that they're going to be move it temporarily while they figure out how they want to balance it and make it into what they want it to be. And then they're going to reinstate it. They didn't say like how long it's going to be out of the game, but they said that they're going to remove it. And in terms of in terms of that, the only other thing that I really wanted to say was towers are weak as fuck in the current state of the game.
Yeah, I was to say, I'm looking at the turret durability patch. They nerfed the health of the Nexus turrets and inhibitor turrets.
They took They took almost 1,000 off the Nexus turrets, by the way. They took 900 off of each Nexus turret.
Yeah. But, I mean, they increased the regen, but you can only regen to the current third of its health.
Yeah.
So if you take out 2/3, they can only regen up to 2/3.
They can only regen up to 1/3.
So if like you don't kill a turret and it's like left with like 2 health,
Then
it'll only regen to a third health.
But the thing is that due to that, I mean that's like 2 auto attacks.
Like, I like the regen buff. I feel like if they lowered the regen buff and gave it a little bit more health, that would be better.
Yeah.
Like, maybe instead of 15, make it like 10.
Yeah, but the issue with me, with turrets, is that they no longer feel like a problem.
And that's a problem because the game is all about taking the turrets and eventually taking the next.
Uh-huh. But it's been like that since the lane swaps were a thing, because they basically fucked turrets to do that. Basically.
You want to talk about the rune changes? And then talk about the general state of the game?
They didn't really change many runes that are like prevalent.
I mean, they added
Yeah.
a couple new ones.
Okay, and another of the issues with AD carries is they continuously nerf the footwork.
Yeah, but that's because they want it to be less runaway regen. Go back in. They want to promote more of a poke style down there right now.
Yeah. But
Which,
anyway, so
it's fine.
they nerfed like everything about AD carries. They nerfed their early game,
Well.
their mid game, their runes, their items, their everything. Like, oh, hey, Ethido, however I want to say that. I have no idea.
How's it going, man?
But yeah, like they've been nerfing AD carries continuously. With the domination, you want to talk about domination? Because I think that these are the 2 most interesting runes. in my
Domination?
opinion.
Oh, Halo Blades. I haven't really used them, so
I haven't really used them either.
you said Halo Blades might be good on Zen?
It might be good on actually like a lot of champions that have like 3-hit passives, which obviously is a fair amount of them. But anyway,
do you think Halo Blades would be good on any ADCs?
the only champion that I think it could be good on would be Ashe because of her Q passive.
What about Tristana?
No, press your attack is better.
To proc her E.
Press
quicker.
your attack is better.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
What's your question?
go for it, dude.
No, I'll have to use it some more.
Yeah.
What about Ultimate Hunter?
Okay, so Ultimate Hunter is basically Ultimate Hat, but different. Or but like a different like requirement over using your ultimate. You have to kill each unique champion, which I
Oh,
think is really cool because it makes it more late game more than spam your ulti like on cooldown in the early game.
I think it's cool that they're adding more to Domination to make Domination a more used class.
Um,
I don't find myself using it all that often.
I pretty much only use it on like jungle
Junglers?
champions, yeah, and certain supports because it looks cute.
When I first came back, Minion Dematerializer was fucking weird. It freaked me out.
And then I think the Nimbus cloak is really cool. And
ADC is the attack damage carry. They're mostly called marksmen now. They're the damage dealers in the bot lane. And you can handle jungle if you want.
jungle is just like it's a role that farms the jungle, which is the parts of the map that are not the lane that don't have minions that like walk down them, and they don't have towers or anything, and they just like roam around the map and farm the monster camps and attempt to kill the enemy champions from other angles than straightforward in a head-to-head battle.
Anything else to note?
About junglers or like the runes?
Runes.
The runes, I think Nimbus Cloak is really cool because when you cast your ultimate, gain 100 move speed for 2 seconds. Rather, gain 100 move speed that like goes away over the next 2.5 seconds, which is really good.
Do you know what League of Legends is? Have you played the game before? Fito? Fito? Sorry, I butchered that.
Understandable. Names are hard.
How do you feel about the changes to bot lane? Like, in terms of fleet footwork, nerfing, the idea of running back, regenning, coming back, and being aggressive, and switching it to more poke style?
It's been a poke style for a significant amount of time. That's why Varus and Ezreal and champions with long range like Caitlyn have been very good for so long. And Fleet Footwork was like the counterplay to that, so it kind of like grew into like a rock paper scissors type deal, you know.
What games do you play then, Fito? And do you want to just talk about the general state of the game then? Since I don't think we have anything more specific to talk about in terms of ADCs or junglers.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Honestly, I think a lot of it comes down to scuttle control. If your jungler can have early scuttle control, then that's highly important and a very good indicator for how the rest of the game will end up going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like really weird because like obviously the ADCs like aren't very super good, you know.
At the moment, yeah.
Well, at least like the crit based like the crit based AD carries, and I don't know. It just feels really weird to play AD, and the jungle changes. I don't know. I don't think those have as big of an impact to the game as people think. And everything else, people like to hate on like massive changes like this because, you know, like people don't like to adapt to change. But like,
I mean, if you don't like to adapt to change, why are you playing League?
accurate.
League is all about changing just to change.
Yep.
Like they don't change to make it perfectly balanced. They change it because they want to throw in something new and do something new.
Hmm. But yeah, basically, it's cool, and I personally really like all of the changes, but that's just because it like changes the game for me. You know, like now I
Mm-hmm.
have to learn how to play like other AD carries like Lucian
But you have to learn
and
how to deal with a Talia jungler.
exactly, which is weird, and I still have to like play it to see if it's as good as I think it is, because it seems to be pretty legit. You know.
Yeah, I think it's mostly comes down to the move speed,
Hmm.
honestly. And are we going to talk about Fortnite today? Because if we are, he might want to listen to that.
Uh,
We can at least run through their most recent patch.
uh. Oh yeah, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was Faker's thoughts, because that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so basically, Faker is the single best player to ever touch the game, and if he's a Korean kid, he's like 21 years old, something like that. Uh, he's been playing really, really good. He's been doing really, really well since like season like 3. So he's been at the highest level of the game. He's been the best player in the world for like 5 years, give or take. And his thoughts on the solo queue ranked, which is just like playing ranked by yourself, you know, nothing too big there, is that until 2015, the queue times were longer, but most of the matchmaking was good. So that basically means that like despite having to wait like 20 minutes for a game at the highest rank, the games were fairly even and stuff. But now, progressively over the course of the past 3 years since 2015, the queues have been getting progressively shorter, but the matchmaking has been progressively more unbalanced. And he just goes to, and he just goes on to basically say that uh, playing by yourself becomes less fun as you get higher up, which he thinks should be like the opposite way, because people are getting better and there's more like competitive stuff going on when you get higher rank, which makes sense. And he says that he doesn't really enjoy playing the game by himself anymore, which I think is, somebody that plays League for 10, 12 hours a day for 5, 6 years, and clearly still deeply enjoys the game. I mean, because you don't play it that long if you don't enjoy it, like straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And to be at the highest level, I mean, there's like never been like a time and place where he hasn't been the best in the world. Like he's just so amazingly good at the game that it's not even funny. And it says a lot about the state of the game that he doesn't personally enjoy playing by himself anymore. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. I mean, it's certainly the case for me, but for different reasons. And it's not because I'm like high elo and the games are like unbalanced. It's because I think the game is not fun to play like by myself. I have much more fun playing with a group of people, be it two people
Mm-hmm.
or one other person or three or whatever.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with Baker here. Um, the game is a team game. It's a 5v5 game, and it doesn't feel like a 5v5 game because, for one reason or another, there are skill differences, or some people are just really toxic, or
Mhm.
something happens, right? So as a result, playing the game by myself or even with another person isn't super fun because two people can't carry, one person can't carry as easily as they could back in season 3, just because the game has been balanced around the 5v5 aspect. And as a result, I think um, the game's starting to become less fun to play. And the skill differences are definitely a problem, especially with the higher you get. The higher you get, it just feels like I feel like again, if you're an 800 LP challenger, you shouldn't be playing against a 200 uh,
LP
LP
master,
master.
yeah. Which
Like that's just
I agree wholeheartedly.
I as a silver, I shouldn't be playing against diamond. You know, like the skill difference there is very large.
Yeah, I understand.
But that's just a very frustrating thing, right? Like if your team is just not working well together, or if your team is just having a bunch of problems and their team isn't, and you're doing well, it doesn't matter if you're 10-0 if everyone on the other team is 6-0, you know? Like there are so many games where you and I will play bot lane, and we'll do really well bot lane. We'll leave the lane like moderately fed, right? We'll leave and I'll be at ADC and I'll be like 4-1-3 or something, you know? And you'll be like 3-1-4. And like we'll go into mid and then a 7-0 Vlad or like a 7-0 Yi will just like walk up and instant kill us. And it's just like, okay. Even though we did well in lane, that doesn't translate to us winning the game because it is a team game, and if two people on our team are getting smashed and two people are doing well, especially if it's the ADC and support, the mid laner and the top laner that are getting smashed are going to do a lot. That are getting smashed, the mid laner and top laner on the enemy team are going to be doing a lot more than you and me, bot lane.
Yeah.
Just by the nature of the champion in the role.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, but it's been getting progressive. But rather, as a counter to that point, it also wasn't very fun in like season 3 to like lose the game at like 4 minutes because the enemy Riven was like 3-0 because she cheesed level 1. And then like she would just like be able to take over the whole game and win 1v5.
And like I think there's issues to where there's no reason why someone should lose a lead so early. Like I think it was yesterday that we were playing, and they like invaded and like cheesed you super hard, and then both the bot laners on the team were like 101.
Yep.
And then like we were both down, and it was just like, well, you know, at that point we should have like lost or maybe gone even if we played one, but instead we smashed. And I don't think that's the way it should have been, in all honesty.
I don't know. But I mean, that's also like a player skill type thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they were clearly like not very good. I just got cheese level 1 and died. I mean, not like cheese, but I mean like, you know, I face checked.
But like even a bad player can do super well if they're fed.
Well, yeah, but at the lowest level of the game, there's like tiers of it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that could have been like a bronze 1, like 80 carry, and we never would have known the difference. Like, sure, if like, you know, that was like a Masters player versus like a Challenger player, then yeah, it probably would have been the Masters player would have done significantly better comparative to how the bad player did against us, you know?
Yeah. The game is always more fun when you play with a full group, I think.
Oh, of course, that's the most fun I've ever had playing the game in my life. Always will be, always has been. Nothing will ever beat, like, playing pre-5s. And it like, doesn't have to be like ranked, just like playing pre-5s is fun, like normals draft. That's because you can
Yeah,
at least
it's just like,
but that's because you at least have an idea of the player's skill level. They don't always have to be like good. It's just you have an idea of what you're getting into.
and then like, and even on top of that, even if they're not very good, you can always communicate with them.
Exactly.
Like, I don't care if I'm playing with a bad player as long as I can communicate with them in a way that like minimizes the mistakes that they make. Like, if I'm playing with a bunch of randos and my mid laner's 0 and 5, I can't type and be like, "Hey, do this," and without them getting super mega pissed. If I'm playing with a bunch of people I know, I can be like, "Hey, you should probably do this," and they can be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense."
Yeah, yeah.
And like, they'll do that or they won't, and like whether they do or not, it's up to them. But at least I can communicate in a way to where it's not them getting all pissy and being super toxic and whatnot.
Yeah. And plus, it's a lot more easier to cut your losses when you're coordinated.
It's true.
And it
Because
makes
like,
yeah.
because I'm just using bot lane as an example because I play bot lane a lot, and I know you play bot lane a lot too. If you're playing ADC by yourself, and your support goes in and doesn't ping, or your support goes in and doesn't tell you or let you know at all, and then they bitch at you because you didn't help them when they went in, it's like, well, I didn't know you were going in. So you have to like react to what your teammate does, rather than going, hey, I'm going in, and you pre-preparing it in your head.
Yeah.
And we don't have that issue so much anymore because we know each other's playstyles, and like, like I still do communicate those things with you.
Yeah.
But it's also, you can also kind of know what I'm thinking, kind of, just because we play a lot together.
Yeah.
So it's like less of an issue with us.
Plus, I
But
think.
in general,
Plus, I think over the long term, people like change their positioning and like their like play style when they're like trying to look for different things.
yeah, you can tell when I want to go in or tell when they want to go in. And like if they walk forward, I'm gonna be like, okay, they're looking to go in. That means, and if they're losing, it's like, okay, they're jungler. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think the game's a lot of fun when you play with people. But I also feel like the game is old enough to where the more that they change, the more older players are probably going to start disliking it. Especially pro players that move from playing in a scenario where they're playing with 4 people that they know are good and that they trust and can communicate with, to solo queue streaming and playing with a bunch of randos. I feel like those players are starting to leave the game because while they might love the game, they're experiencing something that just isn't fun anymore.
Yeah, I understand. But, I mean, we could also talk about, by that same concept, the arrival of new players into the game.
Do you think this is an easy game for people to pick up and like start to get okay at?
What does okay mean?
Like the average, like the silver, you know?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
But
Because while the skill for each tier increases all the time, it doesn't increase to a point to where silver 3 seasons ago is wood tier now.
yeah. But by that same concept, it's a very large barrier to entry, if that makes sense. Like, it's very hard to, like, it's very hard to get past level, like, 10 to 15. And, like, but I also think that, nobody should ever play this game by themselves for the first time. Because it's too much information to learn by yourself, like, straight up.
Oh yeah.
There's like 121 champions now with Pike, I believe, which all have 5 unique skills. and like the concept of like map play and like laning and like everything. Like there's thousands of concepts in this game that are extremely important.
I like the strategy portion of the game. I think I mentioned that a lot. That's one reason why I went to CS:GO and why I enjoyed CS:GO a lot more.
Hmm.
Is
But
because you can see the strategy portion of the game play out far quicker.
hmm but I think if you can get past the very large like base barrier for like knowledge of the game, I think it's very, very easy to become an average level player.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, for the biggest example, Summit 1G, which I assume you know who that is.
Wait, did Summit play League? I didn't
Yeah,
really know that.
he played League for like 10 days, like 2 weeks, give or take. Something like that. He started
Yeah.
out like Bronze 5, like actual Bronze 5 with like a 20% win rate over like 50 games. By the end of those 10 days, he was Silver 3.
Yeah.
Because he's
I mean,
actually
like,
just like that good at games that over, 2 weeks, he went from bottom of the bottom to slightly above average. And it's just like it's not hard, it's just you have to learn like a lot of stuff at a not like quick pace, but like over the course of like your
time.
first
Yeah.
I would say over the course of your first 50 to 100 games. Like I think if you make it to level like 15 to 20 before quitting, I think you'll be fine. It's just it's gonna be a not so fun experience and everything up until that point.
Especially for people that smurf and create new accounts.
Oh, exactly.
I would hate to be a new player and play against you or something.
Understandable.
Cause like they'll be like, oh my god, this guy's super good when you're just an average player.
Yeah. But anyway, do I have anything else to say? Uh,
And I guess in the state of the game, I don't like that there are no longer, or that AP junglers are less relevant, except for Talia. But
they're getting there. It's just the item isn't good. Because that's the thing, is that tanks have one singular item that is very good. Cinderhulk is a very good item. AD junglers have two separate build paths. They have Warrior and they have fucking Bloodraiser. Both of those are good in their own right. So you can fit like very different champions for each item,
but they
And
buffed Runic Echoes.
and AP has one item that is alright at best. Did they? I guess I didn't get down that far.
They did buff Runic Echoes. They changed the build path from Lost Chapter plus 325 gold to Fiendish Codex plus Mana Crystal plus 375 gold. So the total cost is unchanged at 2,625, and they up the ability power from 60 to 80.
Understandable. I don't know. But yeah, jungler issues is just like they don't have like the itemization options.
Uh,
And to be honest, the old like fucking build path was significantly better on most AP junglers. Because the old build path was the jungle item plus the Aether Wisp. And while it didn't give the cooldown, it gave like 10% move speed.
are they actually making those rank changes where you uh, get an individual rank for the role that you queue for?
Yeah, that's what they said at like some point in the past like 2-3 months. They like made like a like posted like, hey, this is what we're talking about like internally, and we think this is what we're gonna do next season to try it out.
I don't know if I like that.
Like, I see where they're coming from.
Oh yeah, I see where they're coming from too. But like, I'm not sure if I like that. So I feel like if you're gonna go into rank, you need to be solid on more than just one thing. You know?
But you don't have to be, and that's fine. Yeah, sure. But
But like, at the end of the day, if you're gonna be playing ranked and you're gonna care about your rank, I feel like you should be good at like 2, maybe 3 things. At least half of the rules that they have.
you say that, but a significant portion of, uh, like Masters to Challenger players play like 2 champions,
I guess.
and dodge if they don't get their 2 champions.
I guess. I mean,
And-
like, I'm best at ADC and
Well, yeah,
probably support.
but like roles are different than champions. Like Tyler One is a Master to Challenger level player that plays Draven and he plays Quinn. Because he
I
goes,
guess that's fair.
because he goes
I don't
Quinn
know.
if he gets top or mid.
Like, yeah, I understand that, like, you have champions that you're good at.
So he
but I
plays
feel like,
3 roles, I guess, but he plays 2 champions.
yeah. But, like, I don't know. If you're okay at, like, playing 3 roles, then I think you're solid for rank.
I think I'm good at playing all 5 of them to the extent that I would feel comfortable playing them in ranked, if you want the truth.
I feel like I'd be able to play everything but jungle, to be honest.
My support is probably my worst role, but I could play pretty much
I
everything.
mean, if you're playing support with me, then I feel like you do fine.
Yeah, but
That's just who you're playing with.
it's still my worst role.
Like, my worst is jungle, by far.
My worst is pretty close between support and mid, but I mean they're both still like acceptable.
But, like, my issue with jungle is that I don't know how to rotate to gank properly.
Yeah, you just don't understand the pathing, and that's something that I could teach you in a very relatively short amount of time. But anyway,
Because I feel like when I jungle, I farm, and then everybody needs my help, and then I'm trying to help people, and then because I'm trying to help people, I'm not farming, then I get you super far behind because I'm not doing anything while I'm helping people.
hmm
So then I'm just end up being kind of worthless.
yeah.
But that could be changed if I practice, but I don't care enough to practice. I play mostly ADC and support.
Understandable.
Like, I could probably play it and do okay, but it's by far my worst role. But I don't know. I just think that if they're gonna change rank to be individual, then that might promote people to like troll if they don't get their rank that they queue for.
But it'll also make the average game much more competitive.
Like, the last thing I would want is like somebody who queued for mid and then they get delegated to support, and then because they don't want to play support, they just like mega troll instead of dodge,
hmm
and then that fucks my rank. You know?
Yeah, but that wouldn't happen often enough for that to be relevant. And,
Yeah, but it would still annoy me.
and math-wise, if you're not doing it, then it'll be on the enemy team more often than your team. That you just get a free win because they have an off roll that's trolling. But I personally think it happened maybe 1 out of every 10 games that like somebody's autofilled. And it also increases the average skill of, like, you know, the average game. Because clearly you're much better at AD carry than you are, like, mid or something, you know.
My only problem mid is that I can't CS for anything because I'm playing champions that don't have high AD.
hmm
If I could CS mid, then I'd be fine.
But yeah,
Because
like,
mechanically, I'd be fine.
yeah. But, like, so say you get, or rather, for me, it's a much more better example. Like, my AD carry is significantly better than my middle lane, right? But say I queue for, like ADC top and get, like, auto-filled mid. As I just said, I would be totally comfortable playing mid in ranked, right? But it would be a more competitive game for all parties involved if I was playing AD carry. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it'll do more than, like, cause people to troll and stuff. But, as a side note, I really think it's retarded as fuck, and I really hope they don't go through with it, if you want the truth.
How would that... So, if you get put on an off-road, does that mean you're playing with all bronze people?
Yes.
So, like, if I'm, like, a flat ADC and a bronze support, if I get put on the support role, am I playing with ADCs who are bronze and other people who are bronze?
Yes.
I think that would be awful. Because either I would just smash, because even if I'm, like, bronze on support, I feel like I'm a better overall player than a bronze player.
You think
in
that,
just
but it's
general
actually,
skill.
but it's actually, like, not entirely true, because I have a account that's, like, down in the depths of bronze 5, and, like, those players, like, aren't bad, like, on, like, a mechanical level and, like, a gameplay level. It's just they lane phase until the tower goes down, and then they area until the game is over with, like,
So weird.
basic wave management. But yeah, like, it's really weird. But they're, like, not, like, bad players. Like, I've, like, gotten smashed by, like, actual bronze 5 players, like, on that account, like, playing, like, ADC. Because they just, like, out-CS me and, like, out-trade me and are, like, better players than I am. It's just they're stupid as hell and they have no sense of game knowledge or anything other than lane phase and area.
Alright. I don't know if I have really anything else I really need to talk about in terms of
I'm
league right now.
gonna look at the list, make sure I'm not missing anything. No, I don't. I think we got everything.
You want to talk through some Fortnite stuff?
Yeah, sure. You can start us off with Fortnite. Sounds good to me.
Alright, do you have the
I do have the patches open still.
patches open?
Uh-huh.
Alright, so with the most recent patch, they're coming out with another patch tomorrow, but whatever. They're removing the jetpack. That's the only thing I need to know about that patch. With this patch, they nerfed shotguns, right? So, pump shotguns and tac shotguns, they nerfed the headshot multiplier from 2.5 to 2, and they reduced the damage of pump shotguns from 90/95 to 80/85. So they nerfed the damage by 10 and the multiplier by 0.5. Then they took the multiplier nerf and applied it to tac shotguns as well.
Yeah, and the biggest thing about that is now the shotguns will do like 170 damage over like 200, so they don't one-shot you from a headshot from full shield, full health, which
and
is
like,
significant.
I'm not upset that they one-shot, okay? That wasn't my problem. My problem has never been that they one-shot. My problem has been that they're so inconsistent that it's a gamble whether they will one-shot or not. Because it's like, it feels like it's either doing 170 or 8.
Basically.
You know? So it's like, that's my issue. If it did 170 every single shot, or every single hit, I'm fine with that. Okay? I just want it consistent. Consistency.
Oh, of course.
Like, if it's gonna be good, make it consistent. If it's gonna be bad, make it consistent. All I ask. Because I get more consistent damage and higher consistent damage using pistols, a gray pistol, than I do using a blue pump.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. Like,
So overall, I just think shotguns suck, right? And I'm probably not going to use them unless it's like the only gun I have.
I, a, I don't like them, and this kind of goes off of like they're, like, they're super fucking, like, weird for their damages. I'll, I'll like, I'll like be rushing someone, and I'll be in a shotgun fight with them, and I'll like hit them for like 85, and then I'll get like hit for like 170, and then die, and it's like, oh well, I mean, we both traded one shot, but because he got the better like aim, like RNG basically, I died and he got lit for almost all of his HP. And there's been a lot of times where like I've been like trading with someone in a and like
And they're just doing more consistent damage than you are.
and or that's
like that just feels bad because it's like it's not like you're not hitting them, and it's not like you're playing that awfully. You're hitting them and you're doing damage to them, but you're not doing as much damage as they are, and as a result, you die.
Yep.
And like it just feels bad to have something like that happen.
It also feels really bad to like get one pumped from like higher than like 150 total HP. Like in my
I
opinion.
mean, I think you can still get one pump from one.
Well, yeah,
from higher
but
than that,
but I mean like I think that if you're at like full HP and like half shield, which would be 150 total, I think it feels bad to get one shot by anything that's not like a sniper.
well, good news for you, buddy. Traps do 150.
I know. Well, traps is fine, but yeah.
So they nerfed the traps a few weeks ago, and they said that was done to understand how traps have an impact in the game.
Low key, I personally think it was to make the kill people with a with a trap challenge hard. If you want the truth. And now they're like buffing it so it's not current content. That's like easy anymore.
I mean, people still, if they didn't complete it, they still can.
Well, yeah,
It's a
but I
weekly
mean,
thing,
yeah.
but, yeah.
But that's more just like me memeing more than like actual like feedback.
Yeah. They're removing jetpack, thank God, get that garbage out of here. If you want me to expand on that, I can, but...
There's not much to say about it. It just like...
It ruins the entire point of the game, which is to build.
Yeah, that's like its like main selling point is that
Like,
there's building.
Fortnite is a battle royale with building. Its selling point is the unique feature of building. And people have gotten really good at building. But with a jetpack, you can just fly up and spam your walls and then put a floor down. And then, bam, you've built a 3-story 1x1 in the span of like a second, which nobody can compete with, ever. So it's like kind of ruining the essence of what makes the game the game. And thank God they're getting rid of the garbage.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much to say that like you just didn't. Feel like that's basically.
They added the new bouncer.
I've only played with it like once, twice, so I don't really have much.
I haven't had a chance to use it yet, but I've seen some really cool plays with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen some.
It
cool
was in the
clips with
game
it.
before as a directional jump pad a long time ago, and
I did not know that.
yeah, you should I can send you a link to what it used to be,
And
but
everything.
they re-added it with the new effect of the crystals that you can find in Depot. So like it's not as good as it used to be, but it's like it's I think it's still good, and I think you can use it for a lot of interesting things. Like if you put it on a wall, you can like jump very far. Like what I've been seeing a lot happening is like Myth will like build a 1x1, build a wall, put the bouncer down and jump into the bouncer and then fly towards somebody and headshot them while he's flying, and then
Mhm.
immediately build another one by one and then jump away if somebody else is coming at him or something like that. I think those plays are cool and they promote like skill, just like impulse grenades. So I don't have a problem with them. I think they're really cool.
Yeah, I think they're interesting. I don't.
It's interesting that they drop in stacks of 3.
Yeah. But that's probably for that exact reason, is to like promote like use.
Yeah.
Is
They can't be placed on ceilings. They can be placed on floors and walls though.
And I believe ramps as well,
Uh,
right? Didn't they like change them so they can be
No.
placed on ramps for angular, or is that next patch?
No, you can't do it on ramps.
Is that next patch then? Because I swear to God that there was something on the Reddit the other day that was like they can be placed on ramps now.
I don't think I've seen that.
Huh? Then
If you can link that to me, I'd be interested in
yeah,
seeing that.
I don't know. I'll look for it if you want to keep talking about stuff for a minute.
Building adjustments. We are making the following changes to address few top concerns, including rocket launcher and grenade launcher dominance in the late game, minigun effectiveness, and overall resource availability. Okay, so here's my issue, right? Supply llamas. There are 3 of them in the game, and they're in mostly obscure areas. So most of the time, they're not even found. Okay? Why did they feel the need to nerf the resources from 500 to 200? Because in a game where the main selling point and the main emphasis is on building, and that's where a lot of skill comes from, a lot of skill-based gameplay comes from, having the resources is very important. And 500 of one material is essentially
One
the
fight.
base
Yeah, that's like
for
one.
like a good fight.
Mhm.
Having 200 gets you not very. Having 200 feels really bad because you burn through materials so quickly,
But
right?
at the same time, to give a counterpoint, it also increases the. I mean, like, not like not like this change exactly, but like the concept of having less materials also is a possible skill thing, because then you have to be aware of your resources more and like be able to play around having less resources than your opponent. Because it's not like if like, you know, me and you both have like, you know, 500 and then, you know, Nick has like fucking 700 that we just lose because he has 200 more resources than us.
Mm-hmm.
It is like, it is still
The
possible
thing
for
about
us.
that, right, is like good players are going to just have to farm materials more.
Because that's what I've been noticing in the Fortnite highlight videos that I've been watching. Is that like people like, you know, basically all of TSM, they'll tend to run out of resources towards like the mid game when they're like chain fighting people. And they'll still win the fights even though they're, you know, being heavily outbuilt. And I think that that's really an interesting thing to see, because in like low to mid level play, building is the most important thing. But like just
I
being
think the
like
reason why you see that is, right, let's say Myth gets into a huge build fight
Mhm.
and kills the person, right? And he's
Yep.
like low on materials, has like 200 of each material, right?
Mhm.
And then someone else is like built up to him and is like getting ready to fight that, right?
Mhm.
Depending on how stable the structure is, he can just, and how complex the structure is, right? You can
Mhm.
hide in the structure and wait for your play, or you can edit your way down and break the structure, or there are a lot of things you can do in that
Oh
situation.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
And plus, if you notice them ramping up to you, right, you already are on the high ground. All you have to do is take a couple shots at him and just keep going up, and eventually you can probably kill him before he gets up to you. It's another thing you can do. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of options you can do once you're after the building fight that you're on,
Mhm.
but I think still not having the resources feels really awful.
Oh yeah,
Especially
I
based
agree.
on how important it is.
I agree
And
wholeheartedly.
like, good players will just spend more time farming materials, and that kind of feels more boring.
Mhm.
But they also removed explosive ammo from the supply llamas, which I don't have a problem with that. A big problem has been people using double grenade launchers. because grenade launchers do the same amount of damage as RPG, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're a lot harder to counter.
Yep.
So people would take double launchers and just spam them. So that's
yeah.
12 RPGs
I've
all
noticed.
going off at the same time.
Yeah.
Essentially. Like, that's just so hard to counter. You can counter an RPG pretty easy.
Yeah.
Just because it's slower to fire and has travel time.
Mm-hmm.
But grenade launchers are so much quicker. So them reducing the amount, or them removing explosive ammo from the supply llama, that's completely fine. I'm okay with that.
Plus, it's really hard to, like, deal with, like, people that have, like, you know, even, like, 10, 15 rockets.
Yeah.
Because they just, like, keep coming, and you, like, only have so many resources to build, you know? Because you can't, like... This kind of goes back to our previous point, is you can't afford to, like, sit there and burn, like, 300 fucking mats to deal with their, like... To deal with all their rockets.
That's why, if you don't have max mats, you have to rush, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way to, like, do anything.
Yeah.
If, like, someone has max mats and you don't, just letting them shoot your shit down is just going to cause you to run out and then die.
Yep.
Like, you have to rush them.
Yeah, yeah.
There is no other option. Right? I mean, I guess your other option could be let them break it and then have your sniper scoped in on them. Which
Yeah,
I see
true.
a lot of. I see a lot of clips of that where they're like, okay, I know where they're at. I'm just gonna let them break it and then immediately snipe them in the face.
Mm-hmm.
But like, other than that, if you don't feel comfortable doing that or you don't have a sniper, you just have to rush. There's no other option.
Mm-hmm.
Damage fall off versus structures removed for rifles, SMGs, pistols, and LMGs.
Which I think is
That's actually
fine.
super nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's
that
really
feels
good.
fine. Yeah.
Because like you'd have somebody with a sky base, and because of the first shot accuracy, and then because when they implemented first shot accuracy, they made damage fall off a lot higher because you could get that first shot off at 100% accuracy.
Yeah.
So as a result, that applied to structures, and it made it very hard to destroy sky bases quickly.
How do you think the game How do you think the game changes if they remove like bloom and just make like every shot like accurate? Or like more accurate, I guess, if that makes sense.
If they remove bloom?
Yeah, and if they make it more like a traditional,
Like,
right?
are you talking about like every single shot is
Yes.
100%?
Yes.
Or are you talking like a spray pattern type thing like CS?
Either or. You can talk about both because you have more like experience with the sprays and.
Everything is 100% accurate. It'll either do negative damage and everyone will take a lot longer to kill, or it'll be stupid busted.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. That people take longer to kill.
Yeah. Like, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but, like, I don't know. I feel like if they did that, it would remove a lot of ability to quickly kill people. Because it would remove the ability to quickly change targets in situations where it's like a solo squad, or like your squad dies and it's you versus 4 people, or even you versus a duo, right? You want to be able to laser that person and then move to the other guy, right? So if they made it do like 10 damage, but like all your shots will hit,
yep,
you're not gonna laser them very quickly, especially if they build. And then you're just stuck like not doing enough damage, and that makes situations like that way worse.
Yeah. Now, like, the other thing would be the spray patterns, and I have never played CSGO, so I have no like context on that. So if you want to go on that too, that'd be great.
Right. So like, let's look up a CS:GO spray pattern. Right. Let's look up CS:GO spray pattern. Here, I can send this to you, and you can pull it up, right?
Yeah. I'm not gonna pull it up on stream or anything because I don't want to like make it like.
Yeah. Right. So the way that the spray pattern works in CS:GO is from your first shot is accurate, and then from there in order to keep your shots in that area,
Mm-hmm.
you have to pull your mouse down. So for the AK-47, you pull your mouse down and slightly to the right, and then move to the left, and then go back to the right, down and to the left,
So
and then back up to the left, or down and to the right, and then back up to the left.
so
And
it's
that's how you keep your that's how you keep your bullets hitting the same area that you originally started aiming.
so that's like kind of like playing like Osu almost, where you have to like move your mouse in like the certain like directions.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I actually didn't know that like that was like how they did it. If you want the truth,
So
that's really cool.
So
I like that,
it promotes
and it's consistent every time, right?
practicing. Yeah, if you're standing still,
Okay, cool.
essentially. So it promotes learning the spray patterns, so you can keep most of your shots at a center, right?
Yeah.
So I think that would promote skill. I think it would be kind of hard to do with the type of game Fortnite is, being a third-person shooter in a battle royale.
Oh yeah.
But it would be interesting to see, for sure.
Oh,
I'm not
of
really
course.
sure. I'm not really sure how that would affect it. It would definitely make. It more skill based,
Mhm.
because while it still would not be like 100% accurate every time, it would be similar to what it is now. So like you have your reticle with your 2 lines or your 4 lines and your center, right?
Yeah.
It'll be like that, hitting that. It'll be the same general concept of all your bullets will be hitting that area,
Mhm.
but all of your bullets will be hitting in that area as long as you control your spray correctly.
Yeah. So, because I know that I've had a lot of issues with the longer range engagements, because it feels like I'll be like aiming my crosshair like like on them, and then I'll miss like 3 out of 4 shots, and then it'll hit me like 2 out of 4, and then I'll just be like down because they hit me one extra time because of essentially RNG.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like that just like feels bad because it's already like a like very skill based game, obviously with like building and aiming and like everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels bad to like be of like equal skill in terms of aiming and like lose because of RNG.
I don't think that they could implement it very easily, and
Oh.
I don't think that they could implement it in a way that like that it would be better than Bloom, especially in like And the thing is right, you can have very long range engagements in Fortnite,
Mhm.
but in CS:GO you're confined to a very limited size map, and you're confined
Yeah.
to certain angles that you can hit, and you can hit and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it makes the spray more effective, the spray control idea more effective in a game like CS:GO where you have very limited space,
Yeah.
as compared to a game where you could see somebody from a mountain and take pop shots at them, but you never spray at that distance.
Yeah, true.
So I don't think that it would be a very good idea for a game like Fortnite, but it's definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Continuing through it. Floor loot materials adjusted. Material drop chances and floor loot reduced by 33%. Material stack sizes and floor loot reduced by 33%. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, basically it just means that there's like less resources, which is just like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Like,
Because
just-
for me, that's how I do like a lot of my building in like my first like 2 engagements. If we drop like tilted or something, is I'll get it off before, and then I'll have like 100 resources if I open like
right? Because like typically, I think floor resources are what used to be 30, now they're 20. That's a whole wall or floor or whatever.
Yeah. That's
You know.
that's a whole build less than previous.
So it's just like, it feels really bad. They're nerfing materials really hard. And I think they were nerfing materials because it's a way to reduce the skill gap between high-level players and low-level players. And the thing is, it's not a good fix to that, because high-level players, good players, are just farm more material,
Exactly.
So it's like,
It only hurts
But not,
yeah, like
yeah, it just hurts more than it helps,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Ammo availability adjusted. Light ammo stacks increased from 12 to 18. Explosive ammo availability decreased 50%. No issues with the explosive ammo availability because again, grenade launchers are stupid
And
busted.
the light ammo is fine. That buffs
I
to
don't think that
buffs to
I
ammo
don't think
are
that's
always
like
nice.
I don't think that's like a huge deal.
Isn't it mostly
Like,
just
yeah, it's
pistols?
nice.
Isn't it mostly just
It's
pistols and SMGs?
yeah, it's nice for like early game
Yeah.
when like because light ammo is the easiest to come by.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it feels really nice when you land and like all you have is a pistol and you search a loot or search an ammo cache and you get 18 instead of 12. That's
Yeah.
that's just extra bullets that you.
hmm
So it feels nice. Minigun adjusted. Accuracy increased by 10%. Light ammo spawn increased 60 to 90.
Wow.
Damaging of structures increased from 25 to 30. I think that's fine, actually.
But that, I mean, I understand that like the minigun is perceived to be not very good.
No, it's
But I mean,
awful. It's garbage.
but I
The
mean,
only time it's useful is in squads when you have one person dedicated to breaking down structures with it.
so like my job.
Yeah.
But like that being like dropping without 90 is actually like significantly.
Yeah. I think that's fine because you blow through ammo very quickly with the minigun.
Oh yes,
so,
of course.
So I don't think that's big of a deal.
Yeah.
Um,
And the accuracy is always nice, making
the
things more
accuracy is nice just because
yeah.
it was stupidly inaccurate and that was the problem.
Yep.
Blowing through 60 ammo in 2 seconds and hitting like 3 shots feels awful.
And the damage structures, that's
Again,
likely.
nice.
Yeah, that's just like.
I don't think it'll
General buffs.
see very much. I don't think it'll see much more use.
Oh no.
Just because there are obviously better things, but like I think that if it's like the only thing you have, it makes it better.
Yeah.
Makes your situation a little less fun.
And I think the C4 thing is the most interesting thing on this patch.
I actually like that.
Because while that doesn't seem very like important, there's a certain spot that you can drop like 4 C4 and blow up the top 5 floors, I believe, of Jump Tower, or 3 or something like that.
Like
Just like gone. Like you can blow up like half of Jump Tower with a single C4 drop.
I think that it makes the C4 more usable.
Oh, I agree.
A big issue with Fortnite right now is that they add a lot of things that don't see much use. Right? Like it's always Scar, Sniper, Pump, healing, and shield. Right? You don't very often see somebody run an SMG or
Oh, yeah.
pistol or a deagle unless that's the only thing that they have. You know? So I think having the C4 buff makes it more usable, and a lot of people underestimate how much damage it can do now. So, and then I don't have any input on the Storm damage per tick adjustment for teams of 20 because I don't play that.
Yeah, I agree. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about with like the C4 buffs and stuff is that they seem to be relatively in tune with dealing with things that are considered to be not so good. And in this case, it'd be the C4 and the minigun. You know, they're like changing the things that are bad to make them stronger. And in previous patches, it was the removal of the crossbow and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah.
Like they're just like they're like changing bad things, which is good. And
I like that they have a vault where they put everything that they use in, and then they can always take it back out.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like if they wanted to remove like I don't know, if they wanted to remove the pump shotgun and bring out the crossbow, I wouldn't be too upset, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think they would, but like the fact that like that's something they can do, they can change the rotation of the weapons around.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll ever change it so like you don't have a rifle or something.
Yeah.
But, like, I definitely think that the fact that they can do that is something really interesting.
And I think one of the other big things is like Uh, or rather, the most like recent other big change that they've done in terms of weapons is they removed the guided rockets, which were seen as highly annoying because of the fact that you could like sit in a corner and then like kill people from like hundreds of yards away with like
I didn't have an issue with it.
I
But that's because guided rockets are loud,
mm-hmm.
and you can see them coming. You can shoot them down, and they're not that difficult to defend.
Well, yeah, but you don't know where they're coming from in a lot of situations. I mean, like assuming that like people are good, and like they're because you can like hide in like a building, and then like shoot people that are like 200 meters
you can typically tell where it's coming from.
up on a hill.
Right, because it didn't last long enough for them to like wrap around and come at you from behind, so you like go that way.
Yeah. But I mean,
so,
like,
so as long as you see it coming at you, you can
yeah.
defend against it really easily, and then think, okay, it's coming from that direction, and they're gonna fire another one at you. That's a given.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you can find your way to them.
Yeah.
And defend yourself rather easily. So
yeah.
I don't think it's like that huge. I don't think it was that huge of a problem. I thought it was kind of cool because you could like rocket ride yourself.
I just didn't like it in squads.
Yeah.
I think in duos it was manageable, but in squads I think it was a bit much.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. Honestly, I would rather see them remove shotguns for the time being to work on their consistency.
I agree.
And have them put in, or have them buff or put back in gray SMGs. And make SMG the dominant close range weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would like to see that. Instead of them just nerfing shotguns and saying we're looking into the consistent.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about shopping carts?
I think they're fun.
I think they're really fun. I haven't actually like used them too often, other than like for memes. To just like do it because I can. But I've seen enough on the Reddit that like they certainly have their place in like a competitive, more serious aspect.
Like
and I think
they can be used.
Yeah, for
definitely
sure.
In like interesting, creative ways to be good. But I don't think that like if you're playing against a good player and you don't kill them instantly, I don't think that they're very good.
Oh no, because you're totally left open, and I don't think like can the rider like cancel out with a build like while they're riding.
I think they can build while they're riding, yeah.
But like, does it like take them off of the cart or like?
No. You can like build up and shit while you're riding.
Interesting. I guess I assumed that they couldn't build while they were riding. Interesting.
It gets a little wonky sometimes.
Oh well, yeah, because you're moving faster and the building already is kind of weird.
But they added turbo building, and because of that, people like started building huge ramps up in the air and then going super fast down. And I think they're really fun, and I don't have a problem with them.
Oh yeah, I agree.
They promote some healthy funness to the game. And it's also a nice way to get away from the storm if you need to go quick. The closest you'll probably get to a vehicle.
Oh yeah, close.
I saw on Reddit a few days ago that they a suggestion to add a paddle boat to Loot Lake to make it easier to cross without wasting materials. I actually like that idea.
Yeah.
Because like it leaves you exposed, but it's also like a way to get across without blowing 1,000 materials.
Yeah.
So, it's I don't know. I think the subreddit for Battle Royale has a lot of interesting suggestions.
Yeah, but they also post the same like 10 things over and over again every day.
Oh, that's fair. Right now, they have a Trello, which is like they can post like things that they're working on, right? It doesn't look like they're able to work on if they are. it doesn't seem like they're working on building or anything like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So right now, building's really fun. Um, you build, if a pixel is touching the building, it doesn't exist. Anything can jump through it.
Yep, yep.
And like, I understand why they did it. They did it to make it so you can build through trees and other things like that.
Mhm.
Because that was annoying. That was really annoying. Like when you tried to build a wall, but you couldn't because there was a tree in your way, and then you
Mhm.
die because of it. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, it's a little bit more annoying that
For players more than objects.
it's a little bit more annoying that you can build something on top of somebody and they'll phase through it.
Mhm.
I had a person that like hit W against my wall
Yep.
and just shot at it until it broke, and I couldn't replace it fast enough, and they just walked right through it and then killed me. And that just is like anti-fun because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like I'm building a wall in their face. They shouldn't be able to walk through it, but because they hit W into it, they walked through it and killed me.
Mhm.
And it also makes just in general build fights less fun.
And I've noticed, because I obviously don't build quite as much as you guys do, you guys being you and Nick, but like I've noticed that I've been like helping rush people in like squads, and like I've like phased through buildings, and it's been like almost disorienting, and I've died because I like didn't know like what the fuck was going on. Because
Oh, yeah.
because I just like randomly fucking like phased through a wall.
I also think the player's hitbox is a tad bigger than it actually is because
I don't know enough to say.
there are times where like I build a floor and I'm jumping and I'm just like continually jumping through it, and like I'll be above it, but then it won't register that I'm above it, and it'll still think like I'm touching it, so then I just can't jump on the platform, and like that's really triggered me a few times because it's like I can't get into my build fight because I can't build my platform. Because
Oh,
like
yeah.
typically the safest way to get up is wall, floor, and then once you place the floor, jump and then place the ramp, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I got you.
So like I can't place the ramp because I can't even land on my floor, you know?
Yeah.
So it just right now building feels super glitchy, and
Yeah.
it just never feels fun to die to somebody phasing through your wall.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Like, it just feels like really weird to like phase through and like have things that are like phased through, and I don't know.
let's talk about PUBG suing them.
I think that's hilarious. That's just like my main like point on it is I think that's hilarious. Because isn't like their
They're
whole
suing
premise?
them for a genre.
Yeah, basically, and it's like, no, that's not how that works.
Also, they're like technically saying that they're suing them for stealing their interface. And
PUBG's
it's
is
like-
totally different. They have like a totally different loot system and like a different inventory system and everything. Like it's
And,
like it's not like remotely similar.
like the compass is at the top. They have a mini map.
Uh-huh.
Their health is in the same,
Yeah.
and their armor is in the same spot.
Uh-huh. And then
The amount of kills they have are relatively in the same spot.
did you see the post that fucking George made on Facebook the other day, like a week ago about it?
I think so.
Did you see my comment on it?
I think you mentioned that they're like not similar at all.
Okay, well, basically I said that games like League and Dota literally have the exact same map setup. They have the same concept of like towers and like Nexus and jungling and like a boss and you know, like a boss monster, and like half the skills in like all MOBAs are like the fucking same because there's only so many like different ideas you can come up with that are like
But
unique.
it's not like Dragon and Baron, and then you have red buff, blue buff,
Yeah.
right? Like Dota doesn't call them the same thing that
Yeah, but I
that
mean,
League calls them, and they like do different things.
but you do have Nasher, which is League, obviously, and you have Roshan, which is Nasher. Well, rather, Nasher is fucking Roshan spelled backwards. And I mean, in terms of like suing someone, that's like a fucking name is pretty fucking like a solid reason to do it. But like you just don't do it because you can't, because you just never win, and you would actually just get like laughed out of the fucking building.
Like, I don't know. It feels like PUBG's just kind of upset because Fortnite blew up and is taking away their fame.
Mhm.
Like, that's all it really is, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Because like, I haven't played PUBG. I think it looks super fun.
I haven't.
Probably like it a lot.
I was gonna say I haven't played PUBG, but I have watched a fair bit of it.
Like, I
When
probably
it
like it a lot.
when it like first came out, I was pretty big into watching it because I thought it was a cool concept.
Like, I would probably like it a lot. But, like,
I agree.
I also like Fortnite a lot, and I think I recognize that they're two very different games. PUBG has a lot more in-depth customization, a bigger map, a lot more loot, and has overall more has an emphasis on aiming and being like stealthy. Fortnite has the very unique feature of building, a much simpler layout, much more simple loot system, much more simple, way more simple guns. Like, it's simple, it's simplified, and it's more cartoony and more rushy, more aggressive, and has a lot of different things. And I don't think they're the only similarity that they have is that they have a couple of the same things, like a mini map, the compass in the same spot, health and shield in the same spot, and that they're a game where they fly over a map and they jump out of it, and then it's a battle royale. That's the only difference.
Yep.
Right? And like, or those are the only similarity. So I think it's hilarious that they're suing them. Like, and like, I think it's even more hilarious because PUBG is using Epic Games' engine for their games. So it's like, yes, let's sue the people that own our engine, that own the engine we're using for our game.
Yep.
Because all Epic Games really has to do is say, you're not allowed to have that license anymore, and then PUBG's dead. Like, it can't exist. So it's like, I don't know, PUBG's being real dumb.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like,
I think
for me,
I think both games would be fun, but I like Fortnite a lot.
For me, I think the biggest selling point besides like free to play, obviously, because that's why Fortnite is and always will be the more popular game, is because it's free to play. And that's just like how you make games in today's day and age, is you have to make them free to play if you want to be popular, straight up.
I mean, at least for like online multiplayer games that are not like console exclusive shit.
Yeah. But like, anyway, for like those types of games, you have to make them free to play. But my main big selling point is the art style. I love the cartoony, big in your face type stuff that like Fortnite has over the more like real.
To be honest, I will always favor cartoony styles because they age better.
It depends on or rather, for me, it depends on like the style of game.
That's true, but like in general, cartoony style of looks, of visuals, ages better.
I agree.
Because I mean, like, you think about it, L.A. Noire was for its time the most like realistic looking game out there, right? Now it looks literally nothing like realistic compared to some other like games that we have today. So it's just like, at this point, it's like the idea of how realistic we can get games visually looking just goes beyond what it was the previous year, every single year.
How long do you think?
So games don't age well. at least visually, anyways.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
How long do you think until the next like genre comes out, if that makes sense? I mean, because like obviously, in terms of like the quote unquote big games, it
Mm-hmm.
was League, and then it was PUBG,
CS:GO.
and like yeah, it was like CS:GO, and now it's like Fortnite and PUBG. But before it was like MOBAs, and then everybody and their goddamn mother was fucking making a MOBA, and now it's fucking the fucking fancy BR games, and everybody and their mother's making those. So like, what do you think the next big thing is going to be? I mean, obviously, like if we knew,
Probably an
we like.
FPS. FPSs will always be really popular.
Mhm.
The next big thing will be some weird or different FPS, honestly.
I don't know. How do you feel
Like,
about Black? How do you feel about Black Ops 4 and the Battle Royale mode in that?
it's going to be Battle Royale. They're literally
Because they're removing the fucking single player
story.
campaign for a
Which
Battle
sucks.
Royale,
I
which is
really
hilarious.
I really like COD's campaigns.
I agree, even though they were like ridiculously short, and
I always thought they were fun to play through.
I agree.
I don't know. Like Battle Royale has always been a like idea that people wanted to go with, right?
Oh,
Ever
yeah.
since like Hunger Games was popular, right?
Mhm.
Like you can look at like older games like H1Z1, DayZ, or even the
Minecraft.
Calling. Minecraft.
That's where.
Like that's
Yeah.
where it really began, honestly. Minecraft Battle Royale shit, right?
Now
So,
see,
like,
I personally think that the fucking culling, besides the fact of it was a RPS combat system, which killed the game in my opinion, because it wasn't
Mhm.
like a battle royale game; it was a RPS, basically.
but it was a Battle Royale game.
Yeah, but it was a RPS version of battle royale.
Mhm.
But anyway, uh, was the crafting system. The crafting system was like the fucking coolest thing that I've ever seen in the game, like ever.
I don't think we're gonna move from a Battle Royale type genre for a while. 'Cause
Oh,
people
I
love
agree.
that shit.
I agree.
People love Battle Royales. We've just been waiting for the big one.
Mhm.
And Fortnite or PUBG happened to be it, and then Epic Games was like, "Hey, we can do better,"
Mhm.
and then they did. You know, that's not to say like Save the World wasn't fun. Save the World was fun. It's fun. Like I enjoy it.
I've only played the first like 5, 6 levels, but it is a lot of fun. I agree,
Because like tower defense games are always gonna be fun.
dude. They're so good, so good.
But like Epic Games just said, "Hey, we can make a battle royale version of our game,"
Mhm.
like, and then they did, and it worked really well.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
How do you feel?
I-
How do you feel about the general? Okay, this is gonna kind of go off on like a tangent, but I mean, how do you feel about like the general state of gaming moving away from single player, i.e.,
Makes me sad.
i.e., Black Ops 4 removing its fucking single player for the battle royale version?
Makes me sad, to be honest. Like I do like multiplayer games a lot. Like I love PUBG. I love League.
Oh, I agree.
I loved playing COD 4 online. Like I love multiplayer games. But like, there's just something really amazing about playing a game that's like tells a story. Like I love the Uncharted series. Like the Uncharted series was so much fun. And like I like Kingdom Hearts and other games that tell somewhat of a story.
I mean, for you personally, and this is only proportionately biased, but I think overall, in terms of combined popularity and actual game quality, that Final Fantasy is the best RPG series ever made.
Hmm.
And you have not played Final Fantasy, and that just like blows my mind that you're like a average
No, I
gamer,
haven't.
and like it's been around for fucking 30 years now, and you haven't fucking played a single Final Fantasy game in your life, and that just blows my mind. Because it's so good. Like, even like the bad ones are still really, really fucking good. It's just the bar is, so very high for those Final Fantasy games that like bad ones are still like 8 out of 10. It's just the fucking good ones are like, 25 out of 10. Like they're so good.
Are there any non-turn-based Final Fantasy games?
Yes. 15 plays very very similarly to Kingdom Hearts.
I'd probably enjoy 15 then. So I think my big thing is I'm not really a huge fan of turn-based games a whole ton, other than like card games.
That blows my mind because that's always been my main selling point in games is like the knowledge and kind of strategy to it. And
Mm-hmm.
and the fucking turn-based games, obviously, it's very.
I mean, I also like games like Civ, but
Yeah.
I think if it's gonna be turn-based, it needs to be multiplayer for me.
Fair enough.
But no, makes me a little sad that gaming's moved away from single-player games. Because like I really do enjoy a good story.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like I like books and I like movies and I like the idea of telling a story that has some sort of like message or point to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like video games is another platform to do that, especially early on. And the fact that we're moving away from that, I think multiplayer games are fun, but it makes me sad that there's not as many quality storytelling games. Like there's a game that just came out, A Way Out, and I think that would be so much fun. It's a co-op story game where you're breaking out of prison basically, and you can only play it co-op.
Mhm.
But like, I think that game would be so much fun. I think it has a really cool story, and it would be co-op, and I think like that would be an amazing game to play. I would totally play that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, I think that obviously there's a place like in the world for the multiplayer only games.
Mhm.
Because I get that that's what's popular, because you play with multiple people.
Mhm.
And but I also think that there's an entirely different feeling to playing a single player game like that like tells a story and has a different style of gameplay and stuff like that.
I agree. For me, when I play a multiplayer game, it's all about improving. When I play a single player game, it's all about just playing through the story and having a good time.
Yeah. And like plus it feels like the time goes a lot slower when you're playing by yourself.
Oh yeah.
Cuz I mean Fortnite, I probably have 100 odd hours
Hmm.
into that game. And my first playthrough of Final Fantasy 15, I put like 125 hours into it.
Yeah.
But that's because you would play Final Fantasy 15 for like, 4 or 5 hours a day over like a month, 2 months.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Fortnite, you fucking play it for like an hour for like, for like an hour or two every day for like 3 months, and all of a sudden you're at the same amount of time. Because they encourage short play sessions and very touch and go, and there's no like deep like progression that you have to make in terms of like
Yeah.
getting like new gear or whatever, because it's not like you have to play for like 3,000 hours to like unlock like a fucking gold scar, to like be able to like use it.
Yeah.
And I think and obviously that's why those kinds of games like appeal to the masses,
Yeah. I agree.
and that's why they're popular. But I
I
and
think some single player games are making a comeback. Like in recent years, we've seen a lot of HD remakes of like older PlayStation 2 games.
Mhm. Or for example, but also you have to realize that the issue with the single player games is that there's only so many times you can play them. Like
Oh yeah.
like for example,
Replayability is a huge issue.
yeah, like God of War for example was a huge game for
Mhm.
like a month, and then everybody played it, and now it's like dead, and it'll be
Yep.
dead forever until the next one comes out.
So yeah, in cases like that, like they're fun. I'll pick it. I'll play it a couple times. Like, I'll
Oh
pick
yeah.
it up, play it through the first time, I'll enjoy it, and then I won't play it for a while, then I'll pick it up again, you know?
Oh yeah. I agree. I mean, for
Like
me,
Assassin's Creed, I love that series. I love the Assassin's Creed series. I stopped playing after 3 because they ruined the story, and that's what I played it for. You know?
oh yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Like, the entire idea of, like, you could go back and live through your ancestor and, like, fucking be an assassin. Like, that shit was so cool, and I loved it. I loved the story that they were telling. And then, after 3, it just, like, they fucked the story. And I have no interest in playing a Assassin's Creed game that doesn't have a good story like that.
I
First of
agree.
all, the game mechanics are fun. I didn't play it for the game mechanics.
Yeah, that's how I feel about kind of Kingdom Hearts to an extent. Is I don't play it for the gameplay. I just genuinely like enjoy the story and like the concept of like going to like a whole bunch of different like popular characters like worlds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really
Yeah.
cool. But like the gameplay like means nothing to me. I don't like enjoy like running around and mashing X as fast as I can to auto attack everything to death. That's not like the most like entertaining thing I've ever done in my life.
I think with Kingdom Hearts 3, they're making it so like you have to do things other than mash X.
Yeah, I know, but you know,
So you'll probably like the gameplay a little bit more of 3.
maybe.
We'll see. We'll see. January 29th. Looking forward to it.
Yes. Smash 5 is coming out in 2018, so I'm excited. I'll probably buy it for myself because I assume it's going to come out like give or take Christmas time,
Oh, I'm sure.
and I'm just going to like buy it for myself for
wait.
Christmas.
Just wait until Black Friday and just get everything on sale.
Basically. But yeah, I'm like super
Well,
curious
I
for
mean,
that.
like Sarah already ordered Kingdom Hearts 3 for me like 2 years ago. So it's been pre-ordered for like 3 years.
Yeah, understandable.
So I should be getting that game in the mail or something.
Yeah. But I don't know, like uh how do you feel about the decline of consoles?
PC Master Race, dude.
I wholeheartedly disagree.
I mean, I like consoles, to be honest.
I
I
understand
like the
that
PS4.
I understand that having everything like on a PC is much more convenient and faster and better.
It also really depends.
And like
there are
and
some
like
games that just play better on console and on a controller,
and
like Kingdom Hearts. I could never imagine playing that on the computer.
and like due to modding and everything, like you know, it is like strictly better, like straight up. You know, but there is an entirely different feeling to loading up your console and like playing a game. You know,
Yeah.
it's a whole different like experience and feel. And I think that that's why and I think that goes hand in hand with like the decline of single player games.
People aren't looking for that type of feel anymore.
Yeah, I mean because like I I personally think that that's like the biggest portion of experiencing a game for the first time. I mean, I I personally think that that's how the games were meant to be played because they were at the time, you know.
Yeah.
Like sure, I could play Final Fantasy X like, you know, on Steam anytime that I wanted to. But the first time you know, play it should be sitting in front of a TV in your room
But why
on a
it was meant
PS2.
to be?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like an elitist type attitude that I have almost with it. But I mean, like really, I I very deeply believe that these games are meant to be played on a TV in your room.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a different feel.
And I think that's why I enjoyed Final Fantasy 15 so much. Is because I was sitting down in my living room playing it on the Xbox One. I would, you know, come home from work at like 11 o'clock at night, and then I'd play it for like 3-4 hours till I went to bed. And plus, my favorite thing about the Final Fantasy games is that there's always a steady stream of progression. You know,
Hmm.
like every like give or take 2-3 hours, you're always getting like new gear or like a new level or like a new spell or something. You know,
Or you're like in a new place.
yeah, you're always like doing something new, and I think that's a lot of my issues with actually shooters. Really, I think that's where they fall off for me. Is that it becomes almost like boring because it's like the same thing, well, like the same general concept over and over again.
You could argue that for League too.
Like League is different because there's 120 champions. It's different if like there's like what like Call of Duty has what like 30 guns maybe.
Yeah, and then each gun has like 10 attachments.
Well,
And then you
yeah,
also have like 20, 30 perks
well,
in
yeah,
different combinations.
well, yeah, but like the concept, like
Yeah, I get what you mean.
like of the thing. Like it just gets to be like kind of repetitive and it loses its edge for me very quickly.
Yeah.
I also just don't like first-person shooters because the camera movement is disorienting at high speeds for like quick aiming and stuff.
Oh, really?
But that's just like a me thing.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's odd.
like fast movement is like disorienting when I'm like trying to focus on like my like aim or like something. That's like
Hmm.
slow and specific, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
That's why I prefer to like use like snipers and like those kinds of games. Because I can just like,
Battlefield sniping's the best sniping.
because I can just like,
Prove me wrong.
I only ever played the storyline of 3, I believe.
Dude, Battlefield sniping is so good because it's so realistic. I love it. So satisfying.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's good for today.
I agree. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yep. Yep. All right. Anything you want to add?
No, that was pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with that. We talked for 2 hours and 42 minutes.
Yeah, about 3 hours.
Yeah, that's about what I was expecting.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna end the stream real quick then.